For this week's lesson plan, I did on phonics for second grade. My objective was the teacher will decode words with common prefixes and suffixes. It'll take about 20 minutes. For review, I put the teacher will review common prefixes, so I would ask the class, can anyone tell me what a prefix is? I would take anything from letters you put in front of a word to make a completely different word to the affix that you put before a word. And then I would have, this will be my whiteboard, and then I would ask them which word on the board has a prefix, and then they'd be like defrost, so then I would circle defrost, and then we would go and we would continue on. So like misbehave and preschool both have prefixes. So the purpose of my lesson was to teach students the definition of a suffix and learn to decode them. For the past, I put yesterday we learned what a prefix was and how to decode them. And then today we will learn what a suffix is and how to decode them. And then tomorrow we will review prefixes and suffixes to review for our test. Alright, so my objective was the learner will decode words with common prefixes and suffixes. For my motivation, I used the suffix S song from YouTube. My computer's not really loud, otherwise I'd play it. But it's like this cute little song they go that puts like the S on the back of chick, and that makes, you know, chicks, you've got more than one. It's really cute. So then after that, the teacher would hold up a card with a word on it, and then the teacher would model what the suffix is on the card. So if you had nonsense, I'd be like, non is the prefix, and then sense is the base word. Non-sense. For my procedures, I put the teacher will define suffix and what the word does. So I would tell them that the suffix is the adding of the backside of the word. So if you had care and then you put full on it, you would make careful. And then I chose front and back activity, and we would be doing, I would demonstrate it on the Elmo. So I would have this paper on the Elmo, and then I would have my little stack of cards, and then I'd have them both face up. And then I would pick the first one on the bottom stack of cards, which, so you pull it and you go, and then you match it with this one, so you'd put it where it goes, and then you would say, painter, painter. And then you could do a different one, and this is M. So then you choose if it's a prefix or a suffix. So in this case, it's prefix. So you put it on the front, and it'd be impossible, impossible. And then I would have the whole class doing that with me. They'd just kind of be observing. And then when they got in, I'd put them in little groups. They'd be in small groups. And they would take turns until all the sheets are done. And there's about 3 or 4 sheets that come with this activity. And then the next activity I would do is called Affix Hunt. It comes with word cards and a student sheet, which the student sheet looks like this, and then the word cards. Instead of being an individual activity like it talks about in the activity, I decided to change it to make it a group activity. So we would have a little bit more than just these. And then the students, so they'd be in about groups of 3 or 4. And the students would pick a card, and we'll use foolish. So they'd write the word foolish down like this, And then they'd have to underline the base word. So it would be like this. And then they'd circle either the prefix or the suffix. And then in the box next to it, they would write prefix or suffix or both if it has both of them on there. So in this case, it's a suffix. And then I would model this with them and then let them get into groups to do theirs. And then when they're done with this activity, they would turn in their paper into the completed paper tray. Alright, so for the closure, I put the teacher will place 3 or 4 cards on the desk of each group, and each group must match the prefixes to the suffixes. So I would have, it would be the same, like it'd be 2 different, one would, oh, I'm messing this up, sorry. I would have a prefix and a suffix, and then 2 or 3 words that could go along with it. And then the groups would have to match it. And then I would call on each group and ask how they knew that that word went with the prefix and then this word went with the suffix, or vice versa. And then I'd ask them if they knew of a suffix that we hadn't talked today about. Like, you know, they could be like the seed and seedless. So less, seedless wasn't one suffix we had talked about, but it's still a suffix. And then for the homework, I put the students will match base words with their suffix endings, and then they do front and back. So on one side, I'd have the base words on one side, and then on the other side, I'd have the suffixes. And then they'd have to draw a line to it. And then on the back side, I would have a word bank, and then the base words down below, and they'd have to write in the suffix behind it. And then for early finishers, I put the student will complete a suffix worksheet. It'll have the suffixes that we learned that day, and they'll have to come up with base words to make new words, just making sure they're real. So like if I put ish, they could put foolish. Actually, I'm blanking on that. Like if they had ly, they could put safely, politely, quietly, that kind of thing. And then for the special needs, I put the student with a learning disability can work with a paraprofessional to match the prefixes and suffixes. And then for the student who is ELL, they can work one-on-one with the teacher to continuously match the suffixes and the prefixes to make sure they fully understand that the word slightly changes and it becomes like a different word. For remediation, I put later that day students who need remediation will be placed into small groups to play front or back again with the assistance of the paraprofessional. And then for enrichment, I put the student will complete a matching activity, and the student will match the suffixes or a word to their base. For example, ist goes with art, making the word artist, and there will be a box for them to draw like a little artist next to it. And that's it. Thanks for watching.